Beginning in April 1953, Director began the order appointing head of a project that would revolutionize the way America dealt with varying factors of espionage, and perhaps control over the societal sheep that need herding and guidance for a better world. Project began, and it was a direct response to the alleged Soviet mind control experiments that were being conducted during the Korean War by Korean, Soviet, and Chinese forces. The alleged experiments used subjects of American origin and sought to develop a mind control technique or drug to use against opposition of the United States and its interests to keep society. Expansion upon the project for conceptual and adaptive research purposes was appointed to Dr. And in 1966, a sister project was funded and led to a full succession of projects by the project's dissolution in 1973 under order of President Nixon. President Nixon's rash and panicked halting of critical research brought him in disfavor of, and this would see to his expulsion from office.
I have never been a quitter.
However, in 1966, breakthrough research led to the continuation and ensuring of the longevity of the project. Subject number 44 was more than voluntary when given medications and interviewed. A late discarded subject from Project, released from prison in 1967, was considered the best candidate for a test run of the initial operation intent of the project. Subject number 44, born November 12, 1932, 168 centimeters tall, was proven to be the best candidate for the initial test of, as he was the sole thriving subject from the launch date of the program. Subject number 44 would also prove the theorized outcome of the finished product to be probable.
Teach me thy way, O Lord, teach me thy way, thy guiding grace afford, teach me thy way.
Subject number 44, born November 12, 1932, 168 centimeters tall, was proven to be the best candidate for the initial test of, as he was the sole thriving subject from the launch date of the program. Subject number 44 would also prove the theorized outcome of the finished product to be probable, albeit with the psychological and physiological consequences to the subject in early to intermediate phases of the initial launch. Regardless, the willingness and documentation of volunteer administration under a civil program, as well as the subject's lack of social ties, criminal record, and recreational drug use, safeguarded the project for its continuation with the advanced use of the subject. An unpredicted occurrence proved to be the test grounds for espionage use of the project. Robert F. Kennedy attended a dinner with director Roman Polanski, his spouse Sharon Tate, Abigail Folger, and John Frankenheimer. Robert Kennedy, like his brother, had loose lips with the delicate information, leading to an undisclosed detail of classified information being relayed to the table. Present Central Intelligence agents relayed the concerned project operatives in a test run using a sleeper subject, subject number 45, was deployed. The operation succeeded in silencing Robert F. Kennedy, but not the targeted individuals. But due to the removal of Kennedy, amnesty was issued upon the project and it could continue. However, subject number 45 would be lost due to incarceration, but showed no recollection of dosage, coding, or deploying. Subject 44 proved useful at social engineering, and seemed to meld into the ideology of the mission notes quite well without resistance. Within a year's time, the subject was able to gain a substantial following and would congregate at a 55-acre ranch near Los Angeles, California. After dosing the subject, The subject was implanted with the idea of the operation and would go on to use his commune as a subject to carry out orders, the project's orders, and the removal of prior targets would be orchestrated via these means.
Now, at your favorite grocery store, the most amazing food wrap ever developed, Saran Wrap.
Have you tried Saran Wrap? It really is amazing. Saran Wrap is crystal clear plastic. Crystal clear plastic. Crystal clear plastic. It keeps everything you wrap in plain sight.
And look, Saran Wrap cleans like magic. It makes a neat package of anything you... And look...
A man's body found wrapped in plastic has been identified.
And look...
And the removal of prior targets would be orchestrated via these means. On August 8th, 1969, members of the subject's commune, dubbed the Family, were ordered to head to 10050 Celio Drive and kill everyone inside the home. Polanski was the primary target of the operation, however he was not inside the home that night. Sharon Tate, however, was removed, as well as other collateral individuals. The operation was deemed successful despite the failure to remove Polanski. Discussion of his removal would continue, but would require an incident to not draw public attention. Subject 44 was crowned as a star subject of operations. The side effects of the experiment, combined with the mental condition of the subject, would prove detrimental in multiple instances. Unbeknownst to project operators, Subject 44 also ordered another home invasion and murder, and was present at the scene. Operatives were deployed as a reaction to ensure the escape of the subject and his followers. This event occurred on August 9th, 1969, at 330 Waverly Drive. This was overlooked as no further collateral was accounted, and the event would further safeguard operations from being discovered. Observational notes documented in Subject 44's hyperfixations and patterns detailed the hatred of political constructive authority, critical opinions on civil issues tying into radical conspiracies and racist ideology, doomsday ideology, and delusions of grandeur. Noting the compulsive obsession with swine as images of authority and government. The confidence of the subject and project were overindulged, however, and the length of the leash will be cut after September 3rd, 1970. Dosage of was administered, but blood and urine analysis of the subject were not conducted. In the resulting episode's cause could not be determined, but was thought to be an adverse reaction of recreational drugs and the dose of given to the subject. At 2100 PTD, September 3rd, 1970, surveillance agents were deployed for several hours to observe the onset of the subject's dosage and reported an abnormal audio frequency that caused a technical failure. Audio surveillance returned spontaneously at approximately 2102 PDT and recorded the following, which due to a sudden and rapid deterioration of the recording following the event, only 9 seconds or so could be recovered out of the 22-minute recording. 9 commune members would be killed by an unknown force, entity, or persons. Special agents were requested to assist the surveillance deployment at 2110 PDT and arrived at 2133 PDT. 2 agents were KIAV, an unknown force, entity, or persons. Subject number 44 was found with the remaining commune members in a small shack on the property. The subject had convinced the group that he was the Christian Savior reborn and, quote, the demons were real and he proved it. The group was then questioned and released after dosing. Using the convenience of the 1970s South California wildfires, critical points of the ranch were cleaned and slated via fire, and all identification of 9 members of the commune were erased from record. Prototype sensory cameras were used in this operation to aid in surveillance and to test the tool for debugging purposes. No unnatural images were captured, except for one that was recorded at 2101 BDT, and was determined to be a bug relating to the new prototype cameras, and was dismissed without prejudice in the initial report. However, noted the timing of the appearance of the anomaly and the unknown cause of the casualties.
Corporate coffee futures and professional design future concept professional living.